Welcome back to the Neutral Zone. Today we're going to be looking at the Notre Dame Fighting Irish as we continue along with our preview series. Marcus Freeman led this team to a national championship appearance last year and bringing back one of, if not the best, running backs in college football in Jeremiah Love. Can this Notre Dame defense still be as good as they were last year? Find out more as we get into the video. But before we do that, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to join the nation. Let's get right into the content.
Notre Dame, the Marcus Freeman squad, and I think you got to give all respect to what they did last year, obviously making it to the national championship game, putting up a valiant effort even after they dropped behind, with really a team that didn't have much of a passing game. I just played tough, hard-nosed defense and tough, hard-nosed offense. So the fact that they were able to make it that far last year, behind Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love and a great defense, only really kind of opens the aperture for their future. I think we are now in the era of CJ Carr, who I think provides you or could give you a little bit more in the passing game. I think this passing game is going to be much better. Obviously, Jeremiah Love is back, and I'm going to tell you, in it's always hard for a running back to be in that Heisman candidacy. Obviously, we saw Genty last year, but it's tough. It's tough for a running back. This is a guy that I etch as somebody who, again, pending staying healthy, will probably be in New York, or at least in my projection will be in New York. So I think the future is bright for Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman is a heck of a coach. I'm going to say top 10 because I still think he has some things to prove. Top 10 coach in college football. And he's going to have this team firing, playing hard, and this is a defensive team as we move into the era of CJ Carr taking the helm at quarterback. Stephen, what's your thoughts on Notre Dame this year?
I kind of want to get straight into their roster.
Okay.
This is going to be a really good team. They have a decent schedule. I would say the schedule's not super easy, but I think they're going to be favored in a lot of their games. You lose Riley Leonard, but I was never really high on Riley Leonard to begin with. I think he had that kind of breakout game against Clemson in 2023, which kind of catapulted him into conversations with other quarterbacks, and then obviously transferring there to Notre Dame after Hartman. I think Riley Leonard kind of fit that Notre Dame mold of just kind of run the ball and you don't have to make any big plays down the field. So he was able to do that and was able to get them to the national championship game. We saw him get banged up in that game against that Ohio State front, but he put his heart on. He put everything on the line, his heart on the line. It wasn't enough, but I think just getting to that point kind of put Notre Dame back on the map. So I think Riley Leonard deserves a lot of credit for that because although he's not the greatest quarterback ever, he's the typical college football quarterback. He's going to run the ball a lot. He's going to kind of put everything out on the line for his team. And I think that's going to, like I said, catapult them into this season. I think this is going to be a really good team. Jeremiah Love comes back. I agree. I think he's kind of a shoo-in to be in the Heisman ceremony. The only thing that makes me, pull back just a little is because they have Jadarian Price as well. So I don't know how much of the load is going to be split. I do think they're going to run the ball a lot. Jaden Greathouse is back after a good season last season. But I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about what they're losing on defense. Benjamin Morrison, in my opinion, was a top 3 cornerback in college football before he got hurt. Yeah. And then Xavier Watts obviously went to the draft as well, and he was one of the better defensive backs. So I'm excited to see what the defense looks like as far as how dominant they can be, because the defense was very good last year, especially in the playoffs. I don't expect them to take a step back. I think Marcus Freeman is a defensive guy, and you still have the talent around, at his disposal, to make this a good defense. You bring Devontae Smith over from Alabama, and then Malachi Fields, wide receiver from Virginia, to kind of shore up the wide receiver room a little bit. I think Bo Collins is gone, if I'm not mistaken, but he didn't have a crazy season last year. But I think losing him and bringing over Malachi Fields, he'll be able to kind of fill that role. Yeah. The offensive line is always going to be good at Notre Dame, so that's not something that I even came across my head. I think this is going to be a really good team. You had a top 15 recruiting class. Not to say that these guys are going to produce immediately, but I think Marcus Freeman has this program in a really good spot, and I think they're poised for another deep playoff run, especially not having to play in the conference championship game. Based on how I have them predicted, this is going to be a top 4 seed to me, which we'll get into their schedule in a second. But what do you make of kind of their losses and then what they have coming back?
Yeah, no, I will absolutely agree with you. I think Xavier Watts was the heart and soul of that defense last year. So that is a big loss. But, in college football, you have to prepare for losses. And I think, like you mentioned, Marcus Freeman is a D. Remember, this is a guy that came up as a defensive coordinator, was previously the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame before taking the head coaching job. So this is a guy who's going to focus on the defense. I have no doubt that Notre Dame defense is going to be up to caliber. I think with the weapons, and again, if CJ Carr is a little bit better of a passer, again, I'm not expecting him to be the grit, the heart, the all the things that Riley Leonard was to this team last year. But if he can truly make you have to worry about guys on the outside, I think Jaden Greathouse really came on late in the year. I think Fields can really add something to that receiving game. So if they make you have to worry about the outside, because like you mentioned, Stephen, and I agree with you 100%, the Notre Dame line is going to be good. And then you have a two-headed monster in that backfield. Again, arguably one of the best top two, top three running back rooms in college football coming back. And like I said, I think Jeremiah Love is the best running back coming back. So that's really what you're leaning on. I just need enough from that receiving core so that you're not putting 8 in the box. And if you can't put 8 in the box because you have to be worried about the threat of the pass, then you're going to be in trouble playing against Notre Dame.
Yeah, you have them going 12-0. I
do.
have them going 11-1. Those of you guys who watched the Texas A&M video saw that I had Texas A&M winning that game. That was a really good game last year in Kyle Field. I think both teams are going to be very good. I think Notre Dame is better on paper, but I think Texas A&M is going to go into that game, with a statement to prove, with the statement to be made. And I like A&M in that game. Not to say that Notre Dame can't win that game. Obviously, I have their ceiling at 12-0, so I wouldn't be shocked if Notre Dame won the game by 17 points. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I think Notre Dame's going to be a really good game. South Bend's going to be a really good environment. Excuse me. I think you have 3 kind of marquee games on the schedule, at Miami, A&M, and then USC. I think every other game you're going to be favored heavily. I think NC State will be decent, but you play them at home. And I think every other – if you can get through the USC game kind of unscathed and undefeated, there's no way you guys lose a game. And I want to use that loosely because I understand they lost to NIU last year. But I really like this team. I think they learned from that NIU loss last season, because after the NIU loss, this team was dominant pretty much all the way into the playoffs. And obviously the game started getting closer because you're playing against, better teams. But for the most part, this is a very dominant team, a very dominant defense. So I think that first kind of 5 to 6 games is going to be paramount into what we're going to see from this team. The USC game is a rivalry game. I know a lot of USC fans, when we do that video, say there's no way we're going to lose to Notre Dame. We have their number. Then we do the Notre Dame video, and it's USC is overhyped. And so I get it. Most likely Notre Dame fans are going to find this video. And obviously I have Notre Dame winning that game, but I just look at it from a different lens. I think it's a rivalry game. I think USC is obviously coming in with a different quarterback, a different wide receiver room. They're going to look a little bit different, but I wouldn't be shocked if USC won that game. Again, I have Notre Dame winning, but I just, like I said, look at it from a different lens. 11-1, in my opinion. We haven't done all the previews yet, so I don't want to keep saying, oh, this is a top 4 team, because I'm going to say it 9 times.
Right.
But I think 11-1 probably puts you right around that area. I think it depends what happens in the SEC. But if not your 5 or 6 seed, I think not playing the conference championship is now going to hurt Notre Dame when it comes to the top 4. Before, obviously, it was a little bit better because you're kind of solidified into somewhere in that top 12 with the at-large. But I think now that it's the best 4 teams get the bye, Notre Dame is going to hurt a little bit when it comes to that, because you can't get that kind of extra piece to add to your resume at the very end. If you have a team like Alabama beat Georgia, that looks really good, and let's say Georgia's undefeated at that point, it's better than Notre Dame sitting at home not playing. Again, and it's a double-edged sword, though, because Notre Dame can't be punished for losing. So I think it goes both ways, but I have them right around 4 to 6 at the end of the year. It just depends also on their strength of record. How good is this Miami team going to be? How good is this USC team going to be in A&M? But yeah, I think this Notre Dame team has a really good chance to be 12-0, like you predict. The floor at 8-4, to me, I was trying to find a loss, because to me, like a 9-3 floor is crazy. And you lost to NIU last year. So my floor for the 4 losses was Miami, A&M, USC, and NC State. Those were my 4 losses. The NC State one is a stretch, I understand, but I think NC State is better than NIU, so you can't call me crazy. But I don't think you guys lose 4 games.
Yeah, let me say this. I think Notre Dame is one of the few teams going into this season that knows exactly who they are. And they know how they're going to play. This under Marcus Freeman, they play a certain style of offense. Again, you call it very, very conservative, run heavy, and a very good defense. So I have no concern about them getting up for the big games. My concern is exactly what we saw last year. It's them dropping a game to, and I know you mentioned NC State, but Navy is a tough team to play. Boise State, I think, especially on this stage, is going to be looking to prove that they belong. So it's one of those games that maybe we're not really looking at. Like last year, I don't think any of us would have predicted them to lose to NIU. Because of the style that they play, they're not a team that naturally just comes out and blows the doors off teams. Which, if that offense just isn't getting touchdowns, if it's not working, if they're going to keep a game low scoring, but if a team gets a fumble and takes, this is a team that any one of those teams can just have one of those days where the things break their way and Notre Dame ends up with a loss. Like I said, I think Notre Dame, and the reason I have them 12-0 is because I think they're very good at getting up for the games that they need to be up for. This is a team that's on TV every week. My concern for Notre Dame, if I was a Notre Dame fan, would be the games that, because we all are going to be looking at the Miami, the Texas A&M, the USC. Those games are going to be games that I think Notre Dame gets up for. It is really the Purdue, the Boise State, the Navy, the teams that you just expect Notre Dame to walk on the field and blow the doors off of them. And next thing you know, we're in the fourth quarter in a 3-point game, and oh my, play goes bad, a pick six, a fumble return, somebody breaks one on offense, and now, and again, obviously I have them 12-0, but as a Notre Dame fan, that would be my concern. I think this is a big game team. I'm concerned, again, based on the way that offense, and this is not an explosive team. I think Jeremiah Love is explosive out of the backfield, but when I mean explosive, I mean
that's fair.
In the Oregon Hue, and you know what I'm saying? So this is a team that's going to have they're going to have a bunch of 7-10 point games. And the bad part with 7-10 point games where you're really leaning on your defense is one bad break, and now you're in a much closer game against a team that you should win.
Yeah, I mean, they're not explosive. They blew out a lot of teams last year, but that was, I mean, I think the defense was really good. And I think the defense is going to be really good again. But this is not a Tennessee type of offense, a Texas, a Oregon, like you said. They're not going to have, a plethora of 75-yard bombs, throughout the season. They're a rough you up kind of fundamental. We're going to beat you up in the trenches type team, and it works for them. I think Marcus Freeman kind of found, like you said, his identity with this team. He's recruiting the right guys, and I think Jeremiah Love is one of the best running backs in college football. Jadarian Price is probably the best, if top 5, number 2 running backs, because I think the Penn State situation is kind of 1A, 1B. So I think he's one of the better kind of number 2s out of the backfield in college football. So this team's going to be very tough to contend with. I expect them to make another deep playoff run. I don't know if I'm comfortable saying they'll make it to the national championship again, because it's so hard to do that, no matter how talented you are, especially with a new playoff format. Obviously, when it's only a Final Four, you got to win one game in the playoffs and you're in the national championship. Now, unless you get that bye, you got to win 3 games to get to the national championship. And all 3 of those games are legitimate playoff. Half of them are national championship contenders when you get to the final 12. Obviously. So I don't know if I'm really to say they're a national championship contender this year, even though they're going to go 11-1 or 12-0, because I think it depends how you get matched up in the playoffs. I don't know how I feel about them against a team like Texas or a team like Georgia or Ohio State again. I don't know yet. I want to see how they look against Miami and A&M. I think this could be a really good team. CJ Carr still has some questions to kind of work out. We don't know anything about him unless you're a Notre Dame fan who searches Notre Dame stuff, 24/7. I'm a Clemson fan, and that's no shade. I'm a Clemson fan. We haven't seen him on the field yet in meaningful football. So I want to kind of see it in his maturation process to, progress as a college football quarterback. He might be, the next greatest Notre Dame quarterback ever, but I just want to see it. We know what we're getting out of Love. We know what we're getting out of the defense. We know Marcus Freeman's a hell of a coach. I just got to see what the quarterback can bring, this season.
And notice, even though I have them 12-0, I have not said that this is the team that I think is going to win the national championship. I know Steven said in video either yesterday or a couple days ago that he favored Georgia. I'll be honest, and again, this is going to sound crazy coming from me, but I right now my very early pick is Clemson. So I don't think that.
Well, I'll be damned.
I think I said that already.
Well, I just want to hear you say it again. It makes me feel good.
Oh my goodness, here we go. But do I think that Notre Dame can very much be in that picture? Yes. Because again, they understand the style of football they're going to play, and they can be disruptors. Would I pick that? No, not at this point, and it's for exactly the reasons you said, Stephen. I need to see CJ Carr. I need to see that this passing game can be a threat and open up the box so that running game can really take off.
Let us know in the comment section what you guys think about this team. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to Join the Nation. We're going to continue to do these previews before the season starts. We look forward to hearing from you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.
Peace.